Good to go.
Okay, the meeting of the Planning Commission will now come to order. Please rise and follow Commissioner Owens in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Okay, hand over your heart. Repeat after me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the secretary please call roll?
Commissioner Uva,
Present.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Present.
Commissioner Montoya,
Present.
Vice Chair Owens,
Present.
and Chair Duarte.
Present. This is a time set aside for oral communications from the Planning Commission. Does any commissioner wish to make an announcement or report on a conference or a meeting or request items for a future agenda? Commissioner Ortiz?
I just wanted to thank city staff. Today I attended two ceremonies. I went to the Downey 65-year of incorporation ceremony, and I went to the groundbreaking ceremony of the residential street improvement. It was two great events that I attended, so I just want to thank them for that.
Okay, great. Commissioner Uva?
I was able to attend the 65th birthday celebration for the incorporation of our city this morning, and what a lovely ceremony, what a lovely event. Great to see all the community out there supporting our city, and very proud of our city. That's it.
She got a good, nice pen out of it. See?
Yeah.
Commissioner Montoya?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the same thing. I too was fortunate enough to attend the 65th commemoration of the city, as well as the event that was held afterwards, for the funding that we're going to have to repave the streets.
Vice Chair Owens?
I have nothing to report on, but just a comment in behalf of my colleagues who reported on attending both those events. Thank you. Thank you on behalf of the Planning Commission, and certainly I'm thrilled that you show an interest, in everything about this community. It's a pleasure to serve with you guys. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. I have none. Does Director of Community Development have any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda, Chairman Duarte.
Does the Director of Community Development have a report on City Council actions?
No report tonight, Chair Duarte.
Okay. Now is the time set aside for public hearing. The public hearing for conditional use permit application PLN-21-0061 is now open. Does the planning secretary have proof of publication?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Will the Director of Community Development introduce staff making the presentation?
Thank you, Chair Duarte. Tonight we have our principal planner, Guillermo Arreola, to provide the presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Before you is a conditional use permit application for a Type 86 ABC license for instructional tasting at Bottle Caps and Spirits convenience store. The property is located at 11112 Paramount Boulevard at the southeast corner of Paramount and 2nd Street. The property is zoned Downtown Downey Specific Plan. The property is made up of 2 parcels and developed with 2 commercial tenant spaces, the famous Peanut Pizza and Bottle Caps and Spirits. The project site sits on its own property, as you can tell by the aerial photograph, the little square in blue. Excuse me. The little square in blue is the property in question. The 2 properties have historically shared vehicular access and parking. However, there's no formal agreement recorded on the property. Therefore, the city will require that the applicant formalize the vehicular access and parking by recording the shared access and parking agreement between the 2 parcels. As you can see on the site, access is taken by way of 2nd Street as well as the alley, and parking is found all across the properties. So the site is developed with 22 parking spaces, of which 2 are ADA compliant. Per the Downtown Downey specific plan, the parking requirement for both uses is 34 spaces. While there is no physical expansion of the convenience store, it is expanding its services. The specific plan allows users to enter into a parking waiver program when the site lacks sufficient parking. So while the site has not historically participated in the waiver program, the applicant will be required to enter into the parking waiver agreement with the city for the lack of on-site parking. So what is a Type 86 ABC license? It allows the instructional tasting of beer, wine, and or distilled spirits at a location with a qualified off-sale license, such as bottle caps and spirits. Under a Type 86 ABC license, instructional tastings are limited to 3 tastings per person per day. A single tasting of distilled spirit may not exceed 1/4 of 1 ounce. A single tasting of wine shall not exceed 1 ounce. A beer tasting is limited to not more than the tasting of 8 ounces of beer per person per day. And it authorizes instructional tastings between the hours of 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. only. The instructional tasting area will measure 65 square feet and is located right at the entrance off of Paramount. There are 2 entrances to the site, Paramount as well as from the rear parking area. The tasting area, which measures 10 by 6.5 feet, will be separated from the rest of the floor area by a stanchion. Employees will stand, and the little text is blocking, but will stand in the front with the servers behind a mobile bar. The business presently operates with a Type 21 off-sale ABC license, which means that they're authorized to sell beer, wine, and distilled spirits for consumption off the premises where sold. The current hours of operation are Sunday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., Friday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 12 a.m., and the applicant has indicated the hours of operation are to remain the same. The proposed instructional tasting hours are 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., Friday through Sunday. The Development Review Committee reviewed the project. The fire department had standard comments. However, the police department did have some standard conditions, as well as some of the conditions that you see on the screen. Zero tolerance policy for nuisance behavior. The consumption of alcohol outside the premises is prohibited. Requires that all employees selling or serving alcohol participate in an alcohol training program offered by ABC or equivalent prior to the operation of selling, serving alcohol. Provide numbers for alternative modes of transportation, such as Uber, Lyft, taxis, and that they be posted in a conspicuous location. And installation of panic hold-up alarm system, and obtain an alarm permit with the city of Downey. I received an email from the business owner, and it was a picture. I opened the picture, and they showed me the receipt for the alarm permit he already got with the city of Downey. So he's moving and he's complying even ahead of schedule. The planning department provided standard conditions of approval. However, as stated before, the existing businesses have not participated in the parking waiver agreement with the city for the parking space deficit. Thus, the applicant is required to enter into parking waiver agreement with the city for the lack of 12 on-site parking spaces. In addition, since there is no formal agreement recorded on the property for shared access and parking, as a matter of good housekeeping, the applicant is required to enter into a shared reciprocal access and parking agreement so that both businesses will have access, vehicular access and parking throughout the life of the businesses. So in case one is sold, you can't just say, you can't park here, you can't access my parking through here. It's meant to protect both tenant spaces on site. Lastly, there are a number of non-conforming uses throughout the city, and staff does not retroactively apply conditions of approval to these uses. However, in cases where a non-conforming use expands either physically or expands its services, then this provides the city with the opportunity to bring these uses and properties into conformance. In this case, the recommended conditions of approval address both the existing convenient liquor store, which existed before CUPs were required, and the proposed instructional tasting. And if approved, the CUP will bring the property into conformance with the Downtown Downey specific plan. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Montoya, do you have any questions for staff?
Just one question. The instructional tasting times, 4 to 6, Friday through Sunday, was that on the recommendation of staff or the applicant?
The applicant,
Oh, okay.
we requested those times, and they are within the times allowed by ABC.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Ortiz?
To my understanding, there's only one other liquor store that offers this type of service. What was that liquor store?
The Trading Post.
The Trading Post. And since they started that service, was there any uptick of calls from police or anything for those services?
No, there have not been any uptick in calls for service.
Okay. Those are my questions I have.
Commissioner Uva?
Excuse me, yes. Perhaps it's just my being new to this, but I'm a little confused on the parking, that they don't have enough parking spaces. They're going to enter into a waiver. Explain it to me, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. So the Downtown Downey specific plan allows businesses that lack sufficient parking when expanding, or when, in this case, expanding their services, to enter into a parking credits agreement. In this case, because they're expanding their services, we have to look at the total at the site, at the development. And in this case, the parking requirement for the restaurant and for the convenience store exceeds what is actually provided on site. So the applicant owner are allowed to enter into a parking waiver agreement with the city for, in this case, 12 parking spaces, where they will pay the city an amount on a yearly basis for those parking spaces that they lack.
And those parking spaces are city lots that are close by?
Well, the parking spaces are on their site, which
On
they're
their
lacking.
site.
But because there are city parking lots throughout the downtown area,
Yes.
they're allowed to use those parking areas for.
Okay. And is the Pina Pizza, and does Pina Pizza own the pizzeria and the liquor store, convenience store? It's one owner right now?
They own the properties, yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, that answers my questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Vice Chair Owens?
Sure. Guillermo, I didn't see it, but in this case, what's the occupancy limits in a liquor store or a convenience store on the front end? And then if you add this component, does the occupancy limit change? Because I see the business, these convenience stores, it's pretty, quick in and out. so you're not there. These tastings are probably an hour in length, maybe half hour in length, 45 minutes, so you have a sustained, group of people in there for the tasting. Do we know what limits, are on a convenience store in a case like this?
Commissioner Owens, I do not have the answer to that question. However, we did run this by the fire department and the building department, and they typically look at occupancy, and they had no issues with the proposed use.
Mr. Chair, if I may add a little bit more clarification to that, the occupancy rating will remain the same, again, because the square footage and the use itself and the occupancy rating that the building department issues has not changed. So I apologize, I do not know the exact number for this tenant space, but that occupancy number doesn't change. So whether they have, a small group of 3 to 5 people doing the tasting, the business ownership is still required to monitor and make sure that they're not exceeding the overall for the store.
Okay, so yeah, my question was a setup for the next one, which Ms. Uva had covered a little bit with. It's about the parking. Okay, so at peak, the restaurant, is going to have 80% of the parking probably, and if the tastings are at the same time, coexist, there might be some little. But the other part of the curiosity I have, there's a little like dirt area just to the east and just to the north of the alley. That seems to be an annex or some space maybe the gas station has access to. If you went back to one of the slides,
Can you do the presentation?
maybe that's a place where other parking spillover, if you will, could, in this whole creation of the parking arrangement that you'll make, between the parties.
Sure. So I do understand human behavior, and the Planning Commission is very aware that we deal a lot with human behavior as well as land use. And so while Commissioner Owens is pointing out that that area likely does see some spillover, when we're looking at the parking counts or compliance with our codes or the specific plan in this case, we can't count that area as part of that compliance because it's private property that belongs to another property owner. So the reason for the waiver is because they are located in our downtown specific plan, which allows use of different city lots and structures throughout the downtown area. And then just an overall note, and I know some of the commissioners are newer, non-conformities are something that we do run into a lot in planning and dealing with land use. So what Guillermo had noted earlier is that the use was non-conforming because it was in existence before CUP requirements were in place in the city for alcohol sales, and before the specific plan was put in place. So when we have a nonconformity like that, they're allowed to continue to operate as they always have, without having to the city retroactively going back and requiring that they comply. In this situation, because they're modifying what their existing use has always been by adding a new feature, that's what triggered the need for compliance. And so as a matter of housekeeping, we're just making sure that we're recording on the property to ensure they have continued access of parking on site, and then we're just bringing them into conformance so they have use of city lots and those types of items.
Thank you, Crystal. Yeah, this is totally unrelated, but I would look, if that piece was available from, the other owner, if it's the gas station, for an improvement, instead of it being dirt, dusty, part of the downtown, maybe they could pave it over, but that's unrelated to this. But thank you. Thank you, Guillermo. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. I have no questions, Guillermo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Before I call the applicant and his or her representative, this would be time for the planning commissioners to disclose any pre-hearing site visits or pre-hearing discussions that the commissioners may have had about this project. Commissioner Ortiz,
I have none.
Commissioner Uva,
None.
Commissioner Montoya,
I've had no site visits or discussions either.
Vice Chair Owens,
None for me either, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
and none for me. Thank you. Will the applicant or his or her representatives please come forward to give testimony? Okay, just let us know about the project and why you're asking for the CUP.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Sherry Olson on behalf of the applicant. Owner is here with me right now. Definitely, we've read the conditions of approval, and we're here to answer your questions. Regarding the occupancy level, it's 45, so that's what's posted over our wall and our doorway. And we did approach that property that was next to us where the dirt lot is. We did approach them to see what we could come into an agreement, but they didn't want to have any part of that agreement. So we moved on to look what we could get with the city and do the waiver agreement. And it's substantially a cost to the applicant, but he is willing to pay that, that fee in order to add this additional service to the community. It will be regulated, and the tastings will be done by the vendors. We will not do any of the pouring. The vendors will come in and they'll do their setup, kind of like you would find at a BevMo or a different type of use like that, which is pretty standard for pouring. I know some of them do their own, but we will not be doing that. And I'm here to answer any questions, concerns.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Montoya, do you have any questions?
No, no further questions for me. Thank you.
Commissioner Uva?
I know you answered my question. I was going to ask who's going to be doing the pouring and the serving. Would it be one of your employees? So that's good to know it's a vendor.
It is, and they're regulated by the state. So everything that we're doing with the Type 86 instructional tasting is regulated by the state. I know they allow us to do our own pouring, but we're hiring the vendors to come in and bring their product in and do the instructional tasting that way.
Yeah, they can sell their product probably better than anybody else.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're sticking to the higher end, so just want to let you know, he's made a lot of changes in the store, and we're looking for the higher end customer on a lot of our items.
Great. Commissioner Ortiz?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Vice Chair Owens?
No, just a comment. Thank you, Ms. Olson, for filling in some of the information in regards to the questions I was asking. So I'm satisfied and look forward to this venture.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yes. I have no questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Has there been any correspondence in favor or opposition?
No, Mr. Chairman, there have none.
Okay.
Have been none, sorry.
I don't see anybody in the audience. So, okay. Does the planning staff have a recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, staff recommends the Planning Commission approve application PLN 21-00061, approving a conditional use permit for a Type 86 ABC license for property located at 11112 Paramount Boulevard.
Okay. The hearing on conditional use permit application PLN-21-0061 is now closed. Now is the time for the planning commission to deliberate. Does any commissioner have any questions at this time? Would like to discuss the item? Commissioner Montoya?
No, I'm good, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Uva?
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Thank you, Chair. No questions.
All right. Commissioner Vice Chair Owens?
Mr. Chair, get a motion on this. Let's approve it.
Okay. There you go. That's why he's a vet right there. Okay, may I have a motion? May I have a motion?
Motion to pass PLN-21-00061.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, may we have a roll call vote?
We're going to be using the voting system. So let me load that for you. Oh. Okay, the motion passes to approve PLN 21-00061 for a conditional use permit with all 5 unanimously in favor.
Okay, great. Congratulations. We look forward to going out there for some tastings. Okay, now moving on to the non-agenda public comments. This portion provides opportunity for the public to address the Planning Commission on items within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission and not listed on the agenda. It is requested but not required that you state your name, address, and subject matter upon which you wish to speak. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Pursuant to the Brown Act, no discussion or action other than the brief response, referral to the city manager, city attorney, city council, city staff, or scheduled for a subsequent agenda shall be taken by the planning commission on any issue brought forth under this section. And I see no public comments, so moving on to the consent calendar. There's nothing here, so just breezing along here. Do we have any new business, or does any commissioner have any business to discuss? Commissioner Montoya?
I've got no new business to discuss. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Uba?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Ortiz?
No new business, just wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family and loved ones.
All right, thank you. Vice Chair Owens?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, as well. Thank you, Commissioner Ortiz.
Yes, and just for me also, happy Thanksgiving to everyone here and staff. So hopefully everyone enjoys it with their family. We're moving on to, does the Director of Community Development have any additional comments?
Yes, thank you, Chair Duarte. First of all, I also want to extend happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving to everybody here tonight. In regards to other city events, thanks to those that attended the city events today. We also have another groundbreaking tomorrow, and that's in regards to the city's solar energy project for all city facilities. And that will occur tomorrow at our Civic Center at 10 a.m. So always good to see folks at those events. Also wanted to give you an update. The Rancho South Campus Transportation-Oriented Development Specific Plan that the Planning Commission put quite a bit of work into, as did staff, is now completely codified. The specific plan has passed its appeal period. Also, the California Environmental Quality Act Environmental Impact Report has been codified and, how should I say, elapsed its appeal periods as well. So now it's live and active. We're working with the county actually on a couple different housing options for that entire area. We don't see anything being built in the immediate future, but I think sooner than later we'll have some housing activity out there. The metro line is still within the same timeline to ideally be completed by, I think, 2028. So hopefully we'll see some action out there in the next coming years. And that concludes my comments.
All right, thank you.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So in regards to Southgate, if we can comment or can't comment, are they relaxing with the Hollydale community, the pressures on that site, coming our way?
Well, that pressure is gone. Nobody attended the city council meetings. The only pressure we saw was the one that we got at the planning commission meetings during that topic, but since then, they've been non-existent.
Great, thank you.
All right, and the meeting is adjourned.